Created by the Ducat Production
Sorry,
Network.
Miss Lloyd.
One, Gratiano responds to Shylock's whetting his knife. Analyze Gratiano's play on words. Use the text to discuss this play on words.
Gratiano uses a knife as a metaphor to compare Shylock's envy to that of a knife. No matter how much Shylock tries to sharpen it in order to dig a pound of Antonio's heart, it will be nothing in comparison to his hatred and jealousy towards Antonio. Even after Bassanio offers to pay him twice the original sum, Shylock is quick to refuse. It proves that Shylock's deal was not based on business, rather a longing to seek vengeance from Antonio that drove him to agree to the wishes of others. Gratiano also compares his envy to all other things such as axes, but states Shylock's bitterness overshadows them all. Shylock calls out a Daniel. Analyze the biblical allusion here. Remember, the biblical reference is important, but so is the context of the scene as well.
In detail, Daniel in the lion's den. Daniel is thrown into a lion's den after the king is tricked into making prayer illegal, which Daniel continued to do. The next morning, when the king went to check on him, he found the lions peacefully roaming around Daniel and the prisoner unharmed. Daniel claims that God has sent an angel to protect him after his prayer, saving his life. Shylock refers to his story because he trusts Balthazar to make the right and fair decision, and is willing to receive his judgment. Similar to Daniel, Shylock is not in control of his current conditions and has to rely solely on Balthazar, in which he has a lot of faith. What does Antonio decide is the appropriate retribution for Shylock? And how much may this be considered worse than death for Shylock? Make sure to reference the text when concluding your analysis.
Rather than losing all his property, Antonio allows Shylock to keep his property that he owes to Antonio, as long as he promises to pass it down to his daughter, Jessica, and Lorenzo after his death. He requires that Shylock would be presently become Christian. Since the beginning of the book, Antonio has been accused of being anti-Semitic, and this truly shows his prejudice against those with a different religion. However, Shylock agrees to these terms and leaves promptly after. Compare and/or contrast the trickery in Belmont to that in Venice. Be sure to explain your thoughts about the effect of the trickery that it had those at which the tricks were aimed.
In Venice, Portia and Nerissa are pretending to be legal professionals in order to get the rings from the men, while in Belmont, they, as themselves, trick the men into acknowledging that they gave away the rings. The effects of their trickery in Venice saves Bassanio's life, but harms the men later when they get in trouble for not having the rings. The play is truly comic in the end. It is full of hope and laughter and we found well. Antonio's ships have been discovered and are intact after all. We know comedy, though, to have an infernal side. Describe the infernal side part of this comedy, and please discuss what Shakespeare may have meant to portray with this element of his play.
At the end of Act 5, the characters are proud of their actions while they were defending Antonio in the trial and how they stripped Shylock of his selfhood. This contrasts with Antonio's treatment of Bassanio in Act 5, where he again puts himself up to defend Bassanio, while in Act 4 he demands Shylock to convert to Christianity and give all his wealth to Jessica. Address the characterization and issues/themes in this discussion.
In Shylock's characterization, one of his positive traits is that he is given. Even if he has malicious intents, he ultimately ends up lending Antonio the money needed at the time.
While Antonio is generous, willing to put his life in danger in order to help his friends around him, he is also irresponsible because he knows he will end up with a lot of money and did not fully consider the risks of allowing his friend to borrow.
Portia, as a character, is devoted. She went to great lengths to please her husband's wishes and financially assist his best friend. However, she is manipulative. Although she was able to help Antonio in court with her slyness, she went on to fool her husband. She made it so that Bassanio would willingly hand over his wedding ring, which he knew was strongly prohibited by his wife.
Bassanio is impervious. He was not compelled by the tricks of the caskets and chose the right one. This shows that he is perfect for Portia. Where he is an exploiter, he exploits the friendship between Antonio and himself by asking Antonio for money and his excuses because they are friends. To you, Antonio, I owe the most money and in love and from your love. I have the warranty to unburden all my plots and the purpose to get clear of all my debts I owe. And he is also susceptible because he was reluctant to hand over the ring but ended up doing it anyways and chasing after Balthazar to give him his ring that he and Portia promised never to take off.